You once said something to me that has stuck in my head ever since you said it.
Really?
Which was like 4 minutes ago.
What was that?
Which is, if they realize what you're trying to tell them, they're offended.
Right. That's a quote. I tried to translate a quote by the famous German poet Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, which is basically the German Shakespeare. And that was a quote about a theater play that he was watching. And I think it's nothing could be truer than that. You know, if you, the example that I used was, say, if a comedian or magician goes to his last piece and they want this to be deep and meaningful, you know what they do. You know, they sit on a bar stool, they have the lights come down, they have some music playing.
They've never seen snow.
Yeah, never seen snow, and then I'm out of it, okay? So, because I can see what they're trying to tell me, how they want me to feel, so you feel almost abused, right? So you want to discover that yourself. So yeah, I think that's true for everything that you do on stage.
I once asked David Williamson what keeps him alive on stage, and he said that one of his greatest fears is the audience thinking that they saw the same show as the audience the night before.
Yeah.
So, and I think about that with you, because every show does feel different. There's some improvised elements. Why is it important to you to bring improv into what you do?
Well, one thing that they don't tell you when you start doing this professional is that maybe after 20 or 30 years you get bored of yourself and of the stuff you're doing. You know, after touring for 20 years with my double act comedy sketch duo, I had moments where in the applause after the first sketch, I could just think, oh man, it's still 90 minutes to go. I still have to do all the other stuff. Because, you know, you can be as good as you can, but if there's no interaction, nothing happening in the moment, you don't, or I myself, I had the feeling that it's just, I had to deliver for the audience, but it's also my lifetime, right? It's my time of my life, and I want to experience something as well. I want to go home and say, you know what happened today? So I think this has a lot to do with stage presence, you know, being in the present, in the moment, interacting really with the audience. That's why I like magic so much. Again, that's why I came back to magic, because every card that I have picked is a reason for me to interact with someone, to ask his name, what they do, you know, what their hobbies are and stuff, and really interact. And it's not about trying to set them up or be funny or make a joke. It's just, I want to know about those people that are there. And then and when you engage in a conversation, usually it becomes lighthearted and humorous and funny. And but it's not me doing jokes. It's the two of us, or the whole of us, having fun together, just like at a party with friends.
There's that really great Penn Jillette quote of being a performer is like watching Groundhog Day and thinking, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So I get it. You want to improvise for you as well as for the audience.
You know, it used to be I would like to improvise, but now it's more about watching the audience and watching what happens. And just reacting to it. And that is improvising, but it's not improvising with the intent to improvise. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So you're open to improvise if the feeling is right, if the situation is right, and then you can go off and for minutes or maybe even for the whole evening. But it's not like, hey, I'm here to improvise, tell me a suggestion and I do something, you know?
Right, which you have done. You left magic to do that kind of work, right?
Yeah.
How is that different to, well, let's talk about what that is first of all. So you used to do you still do a full improv show.
Yeah. Well, I started doing theater sports, which is basically just a presentation of improv theater. So you have two teams of usually 3 actors, and the audience gives you suggestions, titles, whatever for scenes, and then each team improvises a scene, and then afterwards the audience can decide which team was better. So this is a concept that was developed by an English theater director. His name was Keith Johnston, in the 50s actually. And here in Tübingen, my hometown, there's been the first professional German theater sports group. So I've been doing that for over 30 years. And for the last 15 years now, two colleagues of mine and me, we're doing our own concept, which is called Tauschrausch. Tausch means trade. So people bring stuff, just objects from their home, junk, and we have some stuff as well, and then we trade. And from the stuff we're getting from the audience, we improvise scenes. And that's really great because people are making a commitment to be part of the show, and they actually do talk to you, even Germans do. They are even open to answer your questions. And so it's not just us delivering and performing, it's a lot of interaction with the audience. Yeah.
What kind of stuff are you getting in those shows?
Just all kinds of souvenirs from all over the places, old household appliances. Somebody even brought a full-scale skeleton. One of the people once brought a lawnmower. So it's small stuff, big stuff. You never know.
I've never been part of an improv troupe. I wish. It's one of my dreams in life. But I've heard magicians like David Riegel say that being part of an improv group makes you a better magician. Does that feel true to you?
Well, I think any kind of stagecraft that you learn, whether it's acting class, whether it's pantomime, whether it's music lessons or singing lessons or improv, or if you do poetry slams, every experience outside of magic that you can make on stage and that gives you more tools for your stagecraft will enhance your magic. Yeah.
What do you take from the improv world to put into your magic?
Well, first of all, I think being in the moment, as we've been talking about, and there's a lot of, for example, if you and me were to improvise a scene, the way that works is that we should not think ahead. So we build stone after stone. So I would make a suggestion, say, how about going sailing? Now, if you were to go, no, I don't like sailing, that's full stop for the scene, right? Mm-hmm. But if you go, oh, that's a great idea. I got a new sail, I got a new boat. And then, oh, I want to see your boat. Because if I go, no, I'm not interested in your boat, then it's full stop. So it's always making a suggestion, accepting that offer, making another offer, accepting that, and so on. So we both build that story. And you can view any interaction with audience members or with the audience in general like that. So if you have a heckler, maybe it's not him trying to put you down, maybe it's an offer, and you can accept that and try not to put him down and stop that interaction, but take that and give another suggestion to him and see how he reacts. So this, then something can develop. So it's basically the same as improvising with a partner on stage, just the audience is your partner, I wrote an article about that in the Flicking Fingers book about status. Status, is not your social status, but the way you interact in a group. So there's typical high status players, who dominate the scene, and there's typical low status players. And it's all about taking up the room. If I'm sitting like this, I'm invading your space. Mm-hmm. If I'm sitting like this, I'm giving you more space. So only the position of my leg changes our status relationship. And just knowing that it's not my personality how I behave, but I can change that just by body movements or by the way I look at you or by the way I use my voice. This was almost a revelation to me. Status behavior, we all do that. It's a pecking order. You find your favorite space in the pecking order of a group. So high status player basically are saying, don't mess with me, you'll regret it. And low status players basically say, I'm not worth the trouble. So it's both ways of avoiding conflict. Because you always tend to position yourself in that status relation to others that you feel most comfortable with, or that helps you avoid conflict, you mix that up with your own personality. You think that's you. but it's not. You can change that. David Williamson, he changes status all the time on stage. You know, if he has a child on stage, then he lowers his status and makes the kid look stronger, and then but he can change that around all the time.
And he changes it based on the kid's energy as well, right?
Yeah.
He's working with the kid.
Yeah.
Can we talk about some examples of other performers who, like, when you said the lower status, like, I kind of think about Pitt Hartling.
Yeah.
Right, who deliberately makes himself small sometimes.
Yeah. But of course, he is still in control, but he's not entering the stage going, here, I'm the hero. He's playing, of course, especially in his Heinz character, which is a very interesting mixture of a obviously low status person who thinks he is high status. You know, and that makes it so interesting. That makes it so intriguing to watch, and not just a parody. It's a living character, even though it's very like the whole costume and everything. It looks like a character from a cartoon almost. Yeah.
Who's an example of a high status character?
I mean, most magicians are. If it's Copperfield or Lance Burton, they are all high status. Yeah, especially Lance Burton in his Bird Act. You know, he's couldn't get any higher.
Do you think there's a perfect status that we should be aiming for, or is it different for everyone?
Well, I think it's different for everyone, but as a general rule, a golden rule, I would suggest that you are that you take the highest status on stage, higher than the audience, but as close to the audience as possible. So you're an eye level, but you're still taking up the space that you're supposed to take up, because it is, after all, it is your stage. They are watching you. That's why you have to own the stage. If they don't feel it's yours and you take it, then they might feel they are not in good hands. Maybe they get anxious that something might go wrong. Maybe some high status players are starting to heckle you because they feel they sense some weaknesses and stuff. So yeah, but I think as a general golden rule for everyone, aim for that eye level, but a little higher than the rest. I have to say though that there's a difference between positive and negative status. So both can be negative or positive. I mean, I can be a bully, high status bully, but I can be very friendly being high status. Politicians do that. They go, "Hey, Andy, it's so good to see you. Hey, how's it going?" You know, and they are high status, but they're very positive, and you think, "Oh, they're likable, but still they are in command, right?"
Guy Hollingworth, yeah.
Politicians, they start invading your space. This is kind of hard when we're sitting, but when we're standing, I would be too close to you, and you would have to go back, but still be very friendly. But it's clear who's in command. And same with low status. If you're like a very negative low status, then people feel sorry for you. But if you're happy low status, then people like you. So. Just be aware of that. It's not just about high and low, it's also about the quality of positive or negative.
It's fascinating. One of the things I have problems with in performance, with improvising, is kind of letting the audience know that I'm up for improvising. Because often we watch magic shows passively, as far as, we're taking it in. We don't see it as an interaction if it's a theater show.
Right.
Do you have techniques for helping them kind of cross over in that way?
Yeah, and it's especially difficult with German audiences, and probably with British audiences as well.
Definitely, it's way easier when I'm in America.
Yeah. So I guess it's all about making people feel comfortable. And now, as you saw on my stage, and we talked about in the masterclass as well, I start talking to people in the first row and not having them come up. But I ask them their names, do some tricks in the beginning. So just to loosen them up, they see nothing happens when they talk to me, if they give me some information. And then when I have the first two people come on stage, it's always two people. Usually I even prefer a pair who know each other. So they are in the majority. Even though they're in my space, I'm in the minority, they're in the majority. And then I try to engage them in just a normal conversation, just getting to know them, not trying to be funny, not trying to make them feel that I set them up for a joke. And a good strategy is like if you ask them for their job or what they are doing, that's what they are experts in, right? Mm-hmm. But if I play the stupid part, I don't go, oh yeah, I know that you're doing this and that, but I go, oh, I have no clue what that means, you know? And so I can ask stupid questions, which is funny in itself, but it puts them in the expert position, in the high status position. So, you know, everyone, as a magician, we all know questions like, oh, how did you do that? And you could answer, well, I think I did it very well, you know, because you know that. So I think chances are people in their field of expertise know all the jokes as well.
Yeah.
Right? So if you can ask the stupid question, chances might be they know a funny answer to that. So you're just trying to give them the setup for their joke. You know, in theater sports, Keith Johnson always said, try to make the other one look good. Mm. Then it makes, for example, if there's a scene and two people improvising and it doesn't go anywhere, it just feels tense. They don't know what they're doing. He would come up, whisper in their ears, and all he said was, try to be boring. Or try to make the other one look good. So if your focus is not on yourself, but giving the focus to the other guy or the other person, then usually they feel empowered, and they, you know, to make their own jokes, laugh with you, and it makes you look better too. So yeah, it's an attitude thing. You don't have to be in command the whole time. Just give that focus away and give that power away to the people that are with you on stage.
I read this great book by the Upright Citizens Brigade, an improv troupe from America, very influential. And they talk about the game, of the whole idea of embedding games into their things, such as making somebody look good or being boring. Are there other games that you have in performance?
Oh, you mean games that are not that are not openly communicated?
Correct. One I noticed in your show actually was when you had two people up, you were talking to them about their jobs, and it felt to me like your game was trying to connect their two jobs and who they are. Do you have other ones like that, or is that even a thing you think about?
No, I don't really think about it. If you improvise a scene in theater sports, it's just all about thinking where, you know, what is my next offer? What is my next suggestion that I can make? But of course, I know all those status things. So you could, for example, sometimes you do this as a game officially, but you can also do this hidden inside have one start as a low status and one start as a high status, and then try to find a reason so that they change. Cool. Okay. If you, there's a funny trick that Keith Johnson told everyone. So if you feel that the energy in the room is getting down and nobody, you know, everybody's tired, the audience tired, you are tired, then just improvise a scene with everyone just having very open eyes. Okay, so everyone, you just improvise a regular scene, but everyone goes like that. And it makes you, all of a sudden, you're awake, and also the audience. Gives more energy without having to push, just open eyes.
As soon as you do something like that, I can picture the flicking fingers all in a semicircle on chairs. Like, it feels like you guys do a lot of that stuff to maybe create magic? I don't know. Like, when you're all together, that doesn't feel improvised to me, but it certainly has the feeling of an improv troupe.
It does have the feeling inside the troupe as well. It's always... I think it's not a concept. It's we try to organize everything, to rehearse everything, so everyone knows what to do, but we never have the time to really do it. So it's always we always go on stage at a point where it's not. We did rehearse it, but we don't know who remembers what. Okay, so you do have to improvise. So we kind of know where to go. Maybe we remember a joke, maybe we forget a joke, maybe some spontaneous idea. So we try to do the best we can, but we have to be open out of necessity for changes, and then we embrace that. So I think that's the main point, that when something happens that you didn't plan, then embrace it. And everyone has that attitude.
That exactly explains why I feel like I do when I watch you guys.
Yeah.
That it feels rehearsed, yet anything could happen at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's because
it is. That's how it is.
It's really cool. Do you guys, when you work together, do you create by improvising first of all? It feels like some of those scripts came from that kind of energy.
Yeah, well, a lot of scenes develop from using a genre, like genre. Like say, okay, let's do the scene like a Western movie, or let's do the scene as whatever, you know. And then we don't really improvise in the way that we go on a stage and, you know, you say that, and then we really improvise it. But we would think it through, you know, just like a brainstorming session, trying to imagine that scene, and then everyone comes up with the idea. So we're kind of improvising it, but sitting at the table, or, you know, and then when everyone laughs, then we know, oh, that's a good joke, you know. So we're just trying to imagine us being in that situation. Everything goes wrong. What would you say? What would you say? And then, you know, we kind of laugh together. And that gives you a feeling of where the scene is going, yeah.
And have you ever genuinely improvised a trick on stage?
Yeah, I did. We were talking about that, but thank you for giving the cue.
I was trying to, yes, okay. That,
you know, I could feel where you're going, and I felt offended, you know, going back to the beginning.
But you were so good with, when you told me about it last time, I want to hear about it.
Okay, what was the question? Oh yeah, improvising.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, of course, when I started doing improv theater, I immediately thought, okay, how can I apply that to magic, right? And Tim Ellis from Australia, he basically at the same time, around 1990, came up with the same idea. So they came up with a couple of games, like the Drunk Tech, which is taken from theater sports, where you would perform your silent act to music, and the idea is that the technician just jumps from one music to the next, and you have to adapt to the music, for example.
Cool.
And there's a make a trick, which is actually trying to improvise a trick, where you get an object and you have to do a trick with that. And we did that at FISM 2003 in The Hague. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, The Hague. Yeah.
The Hague. So we had Tim Ellis and I think one or two other guys from Australia, and then the Flicking Fingers and Topaz. So we were doing sort of magic sports. And there were actually a few tricks that came out of that Topaz and I worked out for our show then. And then we did this in our show. We asked people to bring stuff, just as with the improv group I was talking about. And people would bring stuff, and then in the beginning of the show, we would pick like 3, 4, 5 objects, bring them backstage, and we had another person backstage, Niels Bennett, who is also a very good craftsman. So he would look at the object, see, can I manufacture a duplicate in 45 minutes or something, till the intermission. So, and then in the intermission and the break, we would go backstage and see, okay, what you got? And then we would try to figure out a routine and just, okay, what's the presentation? Okay, we just pick a genre. You are the whatever, the killer, the mafia killer, and I'm the police officer, and this is about how we're going to do it. And then, but there's no more time than that. So we had an idea, a concept. You would have to improvise the whole scene and try to make the magic work. Try to create the right offbeats or not. And so that really felt like improvising tricks. Yeah.
Were there times where it just really worked?
Yeah, every once in a while. Sometimes it was okay, and it was just the presentation that worked, and the trick was so la-la.
Sure.
But every once in a while, it was pretty good magic, yeah. We had some props that we could use. We had like a table that was on wheels, and that was covered from the front, and we could have Niels sit in the table. So we could bring on a table on stage and have somebody secretly be underneath, which was a pretty good technique for exchanging stuff and things like that. So yeah, but I have to say, we never encountered we never improvised a trick again that we thought was worthwhile working out for the regular repertoire. That only happened at FISM twice, yeah. Strangely enough.
Yeah, in front of magicians, kind of ideal.
Yeah, probably.
Talking to magicians, let's close this up with, give me one or two pieces of advice for somebody who wants to add improvisation to their work. Where should we start with that kind of thing?
Well, if you can, most improv groups offer courses, like weekend courses or regular courses. So yeah, just do that. And if you can join them and improvise before an audience just without any magic, it's the best lesson in life, really, because in a very short amount of time you learn so much about yourself. You get feedback from the others. If you're open to that. In one evening you can try out like 5, 6, 7 characters, and if one connects with, how do you say, resounds with the audience? Resonates with the audience, then you know, oh, maybe there's something there. So that's great. And other than that, just really be open. If you interact with audience members, really ask them a question that you want to know the answer of, and really listen to the people, and just for a brief second, just be open. Don't try to be funny. Just be in the moment and give them the focus and see if something happens. Just very quick example. This, I think it was in Nuremberg in Stefan Kirschbaum's close-up theater. I think you did a masterclass there with Jörg Alexander.
We did.
Yeah, and in a performance there, I had a couple on stage. I asked her, you know, what's your profession? And she was a pharmacist. And I asked him, and he was a police officer responsible for in the drug department.
Perfect.
Okay, so yeah, and then obviously when you actually listen, there's no way you cannot come up with the idea of saying, oh, so you met during a drug raid.
Yep.
You know, but this only happens if you do ask them and if you do listen. A lot of times nothing will get out of it, just a nice atmosphere, but more often than you think, you will have an idea and you can go and make it fly.
Amazing. Yeah. I think that's the perfect way. Be curious, I guess, is the way of summing it up. Yeah. Thank you very much. This has been fascinating. I've learned a lot and I want to improvise more off the back of this. So thank you very much.
I'm looking forward to see you improvise.
No, you look scared. No, you look nervous about it.
Is it that obvious?
I'll be fine. I can do it. I promise.
Yeah.
Bye.
Oh yeah. Bye. Hi and bye.
Oh, you forgot to say hi.
Yeah. Okay.